Good evening. We have another podcast here to do another type of naming. And I hope that you guys have been taking this step by step and working carefully through these because this is where it gets difficult in trying to figure out what type of naming system. Now, this molecular naming is going to be the easiest of them all. And you're probably going to say, well, why didn't Ms. Benson start with this one? Because we saved the best for last, maybe? I'm not sure, but you always want to make sure that you are really taking a look at your periodic chart. And I'm going to keep referring to that because that is going to give you a huge indicator of what type of naming system to do. So the type 3 compounds that we're going to talk about is a compound that contain only nonmetals. So I hope that you're thinking that nonmetals are on the right-hand side of the periodic chart. Now, this is going to be a huge key. All the other ones that we were doing, for instance, like if I saw this written down Al2O3, I would say, well, aluminum is a metal, and so I must have to do ionic, and that's when I crisscross charges. Well, we aren't going to do that now for molecular naming. It is held together by covalent bonds, and they share electrons. So you're going to hear me say, well, this is when we talk about the prefixes. We need to use the prefixes for molecular compounds. Now, you also have this on your gold sheet somewhere where it talks about the prefixes that you have. They're very similar to the ones that you use in math. There's just the first four that are probably your first, maybe the first one is a little bit different. Other than that, they're pretty much the same. So the first element is named as the element using a prefix if more than one atom is in the compound. So I'll show you that in just a second. The second element begins with the prefix always. You always have a prefix on the second, always have a prefix on the second element. And it always has an IDE ending. So they're really pretty simple things to write. Okay, so if I take a look, I have N3O4. First, I'd look at my periodic chart and I'd look and say, yes, nitrogen is a nonmetal, so I'm going to use the prefixes. So I look up here and I see that 3 is tri. So I'd write down tri, and the first one is just the way you see it on the periodic chart. So trinitrogen. And then the second one always has to have a prefix, and this is 4, so this is going to be tetra. Tetra, and then O instead of oxygen, it has to have an IDE ending, so it's trinitrogen tetraoxide. So if I try the second one, I'll keep the prefixes up there so you can see it. All right, this first element is not going to have a prefix unless it's greater than 1. Well, there's only 1 there, so I'm just going to write down plain old phosphorus. Phosphorus, and then 3 would be tri. Triiodide. And yes, it does have 2 I's, and that looks kind of weird, but that is spelled correctly. And that's it. No looking up charges, nothing. It's just the prefixes. If I go in the other direction, I have dibromine. So I look up, di is 2, so it's Br2, and tetraoxide. So you put the prefix number right on the whole word, like right what it's connected to. So the symbol is oxygen, tetra is 4, Br2O4. Here's another one that has doesn't have any subscripts. I have plain old sulfur. It doesn't have a prefix, so it's just S. Mono means 1, so it's just going to be Br1. Now this is what I'm talking about, is that the second one, no matter what it is, always has to have a prefix. Even if it's a 1, we still clarify it as mono. So you can see the second one, tetra, tri, tetra, mono. Always a prefix. And the first element only has a prefix if it's greater than 1. No prefix there, prefix because there's 2, no prefix here because there's only 1. That's it. That's how simple it is. So if I were to write down just one more, let's say it's, I don't know, S2Br, you would just say, okay, disulfur bromide. And that's it. Pretty simple naming system, the easiest of them all. It's just a matter of making sure that you are naming it the correct way. And again, these are all nonmetals, and that's the easiest way to classify the molecular naming system. All right, That's it. You guys have a wonderful night, and I will see you soon.